Hi, beautiful souls. Namaste. Oh dear. Welcome to my Friday chat. And I'm going to go ahead with my live chat today, but I want you to know that I am still very much struggling with my tech. And I just pray that I have this resolved soon. Um, it's causing me so much stress. I think I have it all fixed and then I have another glitch. So I had to grab another camera, and the camera where you're looking at my face is it's just my FaceTime camera. It's just awful. And um, anyway, I'm going to go ahead with today's plan, and I want to tell you a little bit about what I want to do on Fridays. So, this journey into the Tarot de Marseille, I want to include a bunch of other pip decks as well too, because I think this understanding of pip decks and working with Marseille is a bit of a journey for a lot of people. And there is this level of confidence in getting into that the elemental meanings and correspondences of the cards. This is really, really fundamental. And if you haven't taken a tarot course or really sat down to study the tarot individually, this might be a really good way to actually start to rethink how you read the tarot. Hi, Pedro, welcome. And Laura Cleves. So I didn't say hello. Thank you so much for your support. Um, I'm swimming. I'm swimming technically, but hopefully I can deliver the content today. Okay, what I had intended. So I thought I'd spend a couple of weeks just talking about the energy of the wands through the simpler looking cards, and what that means in the way that I am reading, because it this is about how you read the cards, right? It's not about what the individual cards mean. It's about how they're read. And I think that's really important. And there's some fundamental things here that I think are highly influential in carrying into and maybe even adapting the way that you read Golden Dawn based decks. And this is so convoluted and complicated in that this is the Lumina Tarot by, I should put the ace up here. This is the Lumina Tarot by Lauren Aletta. That is definitely a Waite Smith based deck. There's no question there. But the way that she has cleverly built in the shapes of the pips warrants conversation. The second deck here, this is Yonasa Yaos, the Yonasa Yaos deck, which is based on the which is based on the work of Jodorowsky. This one here is the latest contemporary Marseille deck that I have. This is the Pip Speak Tarot. And this one over here, I think this is the Dodal. I'm pretty sure it is. This is the Dodal. It probably is. One second, I'll get you the box. That's my Cam1 deck. This is the Fleur Noir version. Okay, so let's just begin and let's have a good conversation about this. And one thing that strikes me here in there's a few things with the Ace of Wands that I know that I want to see in a card and comes to me through yogic interpretations as well too, and that the energy of fire, the energy of wands is fire. That's why I actually pulled this one out for you, Laura. It's the energy of fire. It's the energy of action and vitality and life and passion. And it's like when I see this card, it's pick up your torch. Pick up your torch. And it is just, it's like holding up a candle, holding up a wand. There's a sense of power. I think of that scene. Hi Dee, welcome. That scene and Saskia, did I say hello? Namaste to you. Harry Potter, you know, where those when the kids get their first wands, or those charming scenes in the movie where they mess up using their wands, like with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. I think that also fits here as well too. Um, Now, I think we also need to be careful in directing the wand with the right hand, that we're using a powerful tool with a powerful side of the body. So we're connecting with the right, when the right hand is showing, we're acknowledging this, sort of fire connection. It's really strong. It's really powerful. If you picked up your wand with your left hand, it would have a it could have a gentler intention or possibility. And so I really like to look at this. Yes, Clevis, Mickey and Fantasia, right? He didn't really know what he was doing. And so this, I love Ace of Wands. I think there is so much, like the possibility here is to ignite something, to ignite something. Now, there's really interesting conversations about this card in regards to sexual energy. And if you look at the Dodal and you look at the Pip Speak, you'll notice that the bottom of the wand is narrower and the top of the wand is open. So the top of the wand represents the feminine energy, the yoni, the feminine element. And there's this idea of um, the the phallus and the yoni all connected in one shape. And when I look at the Yonasa Yaos and I see the flowering at the top, it really does get that same sort of energy, which isn't brought into the awareness of this deck here on the left, because we have the bigger part of the wand at the bottom and the narrower part at the top. So I want you to think about that, because this is something that is written about in most of the Marseille decks, about that energy of it being more of a club, right? It's more like something you could hit somebody over the head with. And yet it has these subtle layers, ways of interpretation. And, if you cut a tree, think about what happens when you cut a tree and how the sap flows out of those portions. And right? It tries to heal itself. I don't know. I think this card is so underrated as far as its implications go. It is it takes a lot. It takes a lot of nerve as well too to pick up an Ace of Wands. I'm still gobsmacked by Zara's Ace Batons. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. Now, the other piece here, and I know this is very Crowley, Golden Dawn, and that has to do with counting the yods. Does that matter? Sometimes in a reading, there will be cards that I want to pay attention to the little details in a card. And I might actually pause and look and count yods, and I might notice, for example, that there seems to be something that is repeating in a card. Um, but it's not a layer that I'm going to go to in a quick read. It's something I might come back to after journaling and spending more time with. So this initiates fire. It's a declaration of my intention, what I want to do, and and maybe how I want to do it. It feels like there's a like I've claimed something here. I've claimed my power. This is, I can also imagine like this feels like standing in your power. And I am. I'm picking up my wand. And there is a tendency in the literature to go to all of the, do you think the gods might be sperm? Oh, I don't know. And it looks like I'm having power internet stuff going on here as well too. So, oh God, forgive me. Help me here. Yods. Oh, do you think the yods might be sperm? Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. Do you think the yods might be sperm? Hmm. Swimming, swimming, swimming to find their way into the fallopian tube. Maybe, maybe. And you know, some of the, I have been reading so much, so many different sources of interpretations of these cards, and the you know, it's kind of at the level of Marie White when you're reading her book, the amount of sexual references and connotations and using the sex act as a metaphor for everything else is prolific in all of these books. So if you're comfortable going that way, then it's all here. It really is. Um, it's standing erect. It's there. It's ready to send its seed into the world. And so when you pick up this wand and you have this wand, it has that power. It has that power to send your energy and send your light out and forth. It really is brilliant. It really is. Okay. Now there's certain shapes that carry different energy. And in the Marseille, in the wands, we go from 1 to an X. What is X? X is a 10, no, Roman numerally. X is a gate. It is a shield. It is a barricade. It's part of a lattice, right? So this shape, depending on the number of wands that are contained within it, gradually appears to block out, to lessen the view. You know, it's so think about it in that way. And I know if you look at, this is so interesting. It's the more you stop and think about this, the more you can find subtle links. If you've been studying the Waite-Smith Tarot for a long time and you are going back and reviewing Marseille like I am doing, or you are looking at it for the first time, let yourself start to understand that all all of these meanings and all of these cards, it's going to come back. You're going to find it. You're going to find that thread that connects everything, and it's going to be like so brilliant when all of a sudden you you have that aha moment. Oh my God, I finally understand what this means. Okay, so what are we going here? X marks the spot. X marks the spot. Okay. Yeah, it is. And so here, the other thing about this particular shape is that the center point, there is a focus. Now, I've been working with the wild unknown in my readings for the. I just finished today. Can I say thank goodness? That was, every year it's really something. And today's reading was really challenging. Um, Technology worked for that, by the way. So in the Two of Wands and the Wild Unknown, the two wands are not standing side by side, but they come together focusing a point. And I should have pulled this deck out because it's also kind of brilliant. There's the Ace. And this is part of what I am in wands, right? I'm looking for where to focus my energy. And of course, I'm also looking at the surrounding cards, right? For sure. But there's something, what am I saying here? I'm saying one, shape matters. Shape creates intention. It creates focus. Then we have color. And that is also going to influence the layers and the levels of the reading. And if you're looking at a traditional Marseille, those red wands are going to have a different feeling, a different energy than the shift in color in a contemporary deck. When you look at this deck and you look at this deck, there's a different feeling. It's not the same. Like this deck is so much more martial. Like you get that feeling of, the wands they're a tool. They're a tool of action. And so there's this, I want to say it's a lot easier to read a deck like the Dodal than it is to read a contemporary Marseille where the color has been changed and you lose the effect and the intention of the red. Red meaning fire, red meaning action, red meaning drive. And I think Kim Krantz did something really powerful here in that all of this color is funneling towards the red, towards perhaps, and you can take that. We can go and we can talk about blood, we can talk about chakras, whatever. But if you are starting this journey, and I mean, the Pipspeak Tarot is beautiful. Oh my God. And the quality of production is amazing. But honestly, I feel that you need to study it side by side with a more traditional Marseille deck. So you get a feeling for the artistic license that has been applied in the contemporary deck because it feels different. I think Zara has done an amazing job with similarity of energy. Now, one thing that she does do that's really cool is she brings gold into the center. So you see the X, the gold in the center, which enlivens the card in a way. It looks like sun, right? It's shiny, it's energetic. And you can see how maybe they're thistles, they're growing, and it works. It definitely works. And I think it works in Kim Kranz's deck as well too. The way we see this focus of energy. And there's something quite solid that we're holding on to, and it's like divining rods. There's you can read this into this card. It's like taking it's from the just picking up the wand to actually doing something with it. The twos take us forward, right? They take us out of the ace. They take us from the idea of the power to actually doing something with the power. And the fire begins to become directed, and that becomes a possibility because there is two. And so when I look at the Lumina Tarot, one thing I appreciate here is the sacred geometry for sure, because there's a lot of energy in that sacred geometry. And this makes me think of the Magician card in the Lily White Tarot, or other cards where you see the effects of energy. And when we have two, we begin to explore energy. And you can think about this, right? If you have one and your hands are separated, this makes me feel like, that exercise where you test the power between your hands and you start to play with energy. Even the Kim Kranz deck, there's this sense of, okay, like I focus this energy and it starts to become hot at the tip. It's kind of cool. Like reversed, to look at that Kim Kranz card reversed is really something. So, shape and color are highly influential. And, one thing here that, if you notice on this one, like one wand is facing up and one wand is facing down. And it's like they're a mirror image of each other. And I spend a lot of time in the Waite Smith decks and with the twos and understanding, okay, two is about separation, two is about duality, two is about relationship. This is two of fire that speaks to the power, drive, action of relationship. It gets so, the layers get so complicated. And the thing I like about working with these cards is that it's so much simpler. We take element and we take number and we put it together. And we can, at the beginning, bypass a lot of the esoteric layers, which have been, I think, quite creatively applied to the tarot. Hmm. I put this deck on the table because while the creator of this deck and I have the PDF, I've read the PDF, claims it's based on the work of Jodorowsky, and it is in many of the cards. I think this reminds me of a Waite Smith sort of card, as opposed to a Marseille deck. And I think in some decks, you either have to go in, you have to stay traditional, you have to stay Marseille. Like the decks that wander back and forth, they're so hard to read. They're so hard to interpret. And I want to look at and compare and reflect on a bunch of different decks. But I think what I have, especially because this is January 15th, 2 weeks, I've been just throwing cards all over the place and trying to figure out which way I want to go with this Marseille year and what decks I'm going to use and not use and how I'm going to approach this journey. I want to start with everything and then begin to pare it down. So three is the triangle, right? Three is the something greater. So something is created. Something is created because the two come together. Three is a result of the two. Amelia's here. Did I say hello, Amelia? Good evening to you. And I think this card is kind of clever. The three come together and create some sort of an insight. There's an energy that is created. And if you look at the card on the left, doesn't it kind of look like the bottom two pieces of the baton and then the top piece of the baton? I swear this creator was trying to incorporate as much Tarot de Marseille as she could. Yeah, like Pagan Otherworlds. And maybe I'll pull that deck out next week. I can only have so many on the screen at the same time and turn so many decks at the same time. But yeah, that's a good one. I will pull it out. And when I look at the Onasa Yos, the Three of Wands, I neither get this feeling nor do I get the energy from the two Marseille decks. What is it? It's just three. And there's no consistency in the building of the shape. I understand we might be looking at different stages of flower, but it in studying tarot and knowing what the cards mean, I love this deck and I think it's really pretty. But as somebody new coming into, okay, oh, this is really pretty. This is based on Jodorowsky. Okay, maybe this is going to be my first Marseille deck. No, it's too hard. Okay. Yes, and of course the numbers are really important. And Bendov was a student of Jodorowsky, and his teachings are very similar yet different. And I think in all of the so this is something that I want to do is I'm going to do an episode or two on each of the uh, elements, and then I want to do an episode on each of the numbers, and I want to share with you from several different Marseille traditions and advice the energy of numbers. It's really fascinating because can take on three is pretty fundamental, but some of the other numbers take on different energy. So one thing that I think Zara did very cleverly here is that in the three, this wand, the fire, it's like this. This is what was created. There seems to be so in the two, we had two blues. We had two blues, and now we have a red in the center. And it feels like, this is the newest one. This is alive. It's like when we see this card, I can't think of what decks, but you know how sometimes you'll see two parents and a child? It's like that red wand is the child. And so I think that's kind of a clever way to depict this. Hmm. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I should. Oh gosh. Okay, I didn't sort this deck, Pedro, and it's all shuffled. It has a beautiful frequency. That Three of Wands, the card that Pedro's talking about. Yeah, I'm sure you all know it. Okay, if I can get it, I'll bring it on the table. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at the four and its connection to stability and um, creating a safe stability in terms of safety, stability in terms of security. There's a sense of power that arises in the Four of Batons in the Marseille. A sense of power. I've got the Four of Wands there. And the focus of the gold, I think, does a fine job. But when I look at the Four of Wands in the Yonasa Yaus, you could say she is safe in her power. There is a comfort in the power. It looks an awful lot like a Four of Cups in the Waite-Smith deck. But what is going on in the Lumina Tarot? We have 4 crystals and 4 feathers. And this is a crystal grid. And what does a crystal grid do? A crystal grid builds energy, right? A crystal grid helps to focus energy. And the intention of the energy is towards the center. There is solidity to the shape here as well, too. When I look at a Four of Wands, and when we start getting beyond the Four of Wands, it really does change energy. There's a power in a way to what is here. Like it feels really solid. It feels really solid. Sorry, Pedro, I can't find that card. I'm talking and thinking and leafing through. I've got it right here. That's the Four of Wands in the Wild Unknown. And this is the Three of Wands. And I think as a progression, and it looks like a dream catcher to me, the potential energy of the dream catcher, the safety that a dream catcher provides, as opposed to in the 3, the energy. We're more focused on the energy itself than what the energy has created. I don't know, do I dare even? No, let's just talk about these cards. I really wanted to talk about the progression from 3 to 4 on the Tree of Life. And the difference, maybe we can talk about this. And I appreciate your thoughts as well too here. And let's keep this in terms of the wands, but the 3 is connected to Saturn. And the 3 is it's like the eye of the needle. And it's like we're birthed through the 3. The 3 is the process of the birth. And then we have the baby. So what we see in the 3 is what is about to be born, as opposed to in the 4, what is manifest. And I think what we're looking at in the Four of Wands is like, yeah, this is what is here, and this is what is now, and this is what our power looks like here. Okay. Grounding of power is crucial after the frenetic energy, the building of energy the building of energy in the 1, 2, 3. One. You know, when you look at those 4 cards, that 4, like, it's good. It's such a good card. It's such a positive card in its sense of stability. Your strength is assured, and then change that word strength for whatever you're working with in your question. And this suit for me has always been about fire, will, dharma, and being in alignment with your true north, with your path, with your dharma. Now, in the odd numbers, in the wands, in the 3, 5, 7, and 9, in a traditional Marseille deck, there's a wand in the center, and then there's an even number that are crossing. So an even number create the cross, and then the final odd number is in the center. And look at the difference between these 2 cards. There is less, so the flowers appear also in the even numbers, right? There's more flowers in the even numbers. And because we have to make space for this masculine energy. So in the even numbers, there's more harmony, there's more connection of yin and yang, except of course in the final couple cards where there's not much space left in the card. So the 5s, where is the chaos in the 5s? Where is the where are the challenges in the 5s? And how do these cards in the Marseille connect to the Hierophant energy? Because we look at 5s, numbers, the energy of 5 in the same way that that we do when we're reading Waite Smith. Let's go to Dee's comment here just before I go on. All the odd numbered cards, 3, 5, 7, 9, the central or balanced middle wand is different, and that emphasizes the difference between odds and evens. Okay, I don't have a Noble deck out. Okay. Even being feminine, odd being masculine, even being lunar, odd being solar. So there is an escalating, in the odd numbers, there's an escalating energy, and there's a dominant, like the odd cards skew masculine. And if in the 4 you felt a sense of stability, security. Something is um, something is entered into the five that begins to let you know there's confrontation, there's a challenge. Something is approaching your fence. Like this odd one in the center, is beginning to activate something. Now, if you look at, so we've gone way different here in the lumina. All of the wands none of them are level. It's like they're creating a lightning bolt, the zigzag in the background. We have two stags with their antlers confronting each other. In the Yonasa Yaus, the irises are like, why would this happen? Why are the irises not standing straight up? Does that mean because is there less water? Are the conditions not ideal? They are leaning on each other because the environment is not supported. I mean, you could look at this. Or is this just a artistic license in the way that the creator has designed this? Is there any attempt here to make this look more like a Marseille Five of Wands? And can you see a stronger central staff? Now, there's something really interesting here in that we have leaves and not flowers. And I know some people don't read the leaves and the flowers in the Marseille, but when I really like what Zara has done here. So what I see here is that through this challenge, there is new growth. And if we are able to move through this, or despite moving through this, there is this opportunity of new growth. The leaves, right? So the leaves come first before the flowers when we're looking at new plants and things like that. I wonder, I was wondering in that card if we could see the energy of the leaves. And I don't see that in the Lumina Tarot. So when I'm comparing pip decks that sort of wander between Marseille tradition and Waite-Smith or Golden Dawn tradition, I like to compare these things. Because in the Five of Wands in the Lumina Tarot, I don't see the promise of growth through the five. If we are able to move through that middle part of the Journey of Wands, yeah, it feels rather intense, but there will be growth. The energy of the wands begins to intensify. And again, we come back to yin and yang. And the yin balances the yang. the flowers harmonize and balance the power of the wands, of the batons. And in the Yonasiyaos, we have a heart-centered deck. So in this Six of Wands, she's taking us to the heart center, which is a place of harmony. This is a harmonious card. This is a place where harmony of fire, maybe I want to say that fire finds its true potential. Fire knows that it can work for the greater good. And in the Lumina, I think what Lorna Letta has tried to do here is to show the idea of balance, and the blue and the pink representing the masculine and the feminine. Yeah. Now, this is a number that begins to take on different energy depending on the tradition you are working with. Notice how in the 7, the growth continues. We have more of a masculine looking flower. Pedro, the Yonasiyaos also relates to the Lover's card, Heaven Meeting Earth. Oh, yes, for sure. This one, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay. This has been a really interesting card for me over the years, looking at, there's something actually quite amazing in this Yonasiyaos 7. And these sticks come together to create smoke. We're seeing the transformation that's happening. What I was just about to say is I think it's really interesting on this deck how we have more of a masculine flower. You know those flowers in Hawaii? I forget what they're called. They look like they're wax and they have a very red stamen coming out of them. That's what these look like to me. I know what they're called, but anyway, I won't dwell on that name. Despite the amount of power here, there is still growth that is happening. The strength, the intensity of the fire is growing, and the intensity of the fire is causing a transformation. And I think maybe that's why she's chosen the beetle here as a symbol of transformation. There's something about 7s, and you all know the power of 7 and the multitude of associations that come with the number of 7. And 7 is really dynamic in that it asks us to integrate all of the lessons of the 1 through the 6. It's like I think about what they wrote, what the creators wrote in the Druid Craft Tarot. That one is it's a book that's kind of stored in my mind, and how through all of the lessons of the 1 through the 6, it's the 7 that tests whether we've learned how to use the power. And so imagine here that we've learned the lessons and we know that the power can be used maybe to actually send a message. It's really clever. Uh, okay, I know what you're saying here. Yes. Um, it is a stag beetle. Um, yes, it is a stag beetle. And so you're thinking that this beetle here is symbolic of fighting and confrontation and more of a Waite-Smith sort of energy. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that too. And I think we need to contrast and compare the 5 and the 7. The 5 and the 7. So I want to look at that because the um, the growth and the leaves do add a perspective. And I think we need to understand that as fire grows, as our level of commitment to our will and our fire and our drive grows, it's through that that things begin to happen and that our potential is known. We are no longer in the budding phase. We are in an action phase. And so back to the beetle thing, I think, um, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Dee. Yes. Originally, that was how I was interpreting that card, as very Waite-Smith. But I think we can also, well, I was reading something else into it. Now, there is a consistency in the Lumina Tarot. And if you are working with, um, actually, no, I was thinking about this particular card, not the 4. Whether you're working with a pip deck or some variation of a Marseille deck, look at where the energy is building and how the energy is building. There is a and much like in when we're working with a Waite-Smith deck, it's always interesting to look at where the energy is going. As fire grows, it consumes the matter and converts the energy. And so the energy, what is the energy being converted to? It's being converted to, and this is so interesting, you know, how did the idea of the 8 of Wands be the messenger, becoming the messenger, like where did that idea come from? And I think this fits so interestingly with what Dee says here. And I think we see the beginning of that in the 7 of Fire in the Unasa Yaus. And it's through that conversion, through the burning process, we can see the fire in the air, in the smoke. And I know that this is a bit of a stretch, but when I was looking at that seven of fire and yes, I'm thinking, okay, we are beginning to create and send a signal. Element of air, messages, voice. So the fire is in the process of converting, and the wands become consumed. And you can see that symbolically as the pattern in the center begins to intensify and become more ornate. It's pretty incredible, actually, how Zara puts so much thought into that. In the Yonasios, she has a Shiva mudra. I don't know if her index fingers are extended, but there's a power in taking the arms overhead, pointing the fingers overhead, and usually the index finger is extended. Shiva is the destroyer. Right? Shiva is the destroyer. Shiva is the frequency that changes the energy. So when we're looking at the yoga or the Hindu Trimurti, we have Brahma the creator, Vishnu the sustainer, and Shiva the destroyer. And in this gesture where the arms go overhead and sorry, you can't see my arms, and the fingers are extended, we project that power and we create this shape connecting heaven and earth. And so it's all very creatively connected. And people say there's nothing in these cards. They're so hard to read. Now look at the lumina. What's going on in the lumina? The fire is on the outside. The stability is in the center. And if you overlay the Tarot de Marseille on the Lumina Tarot, you can kind of see where this shape came from. But it's really important that the fire, right, because the energy is building and transforming, and if the fire was on the inside, it would implode. The power is concentrated in the middle. Okay, let's do one more, and then I'm going to pull out a few different decks for next week and continue to talk about fire and the building of fire. Fire also is not only is it a transformer of energy, right? Fire transforms. So the wood is transformed into ash, which nourishes something else, which creates smoke, among other things. So I also want to look at the transition from element to element and how that's carried through or implied. Okay, so here is the 9. Our final odd number. And you can see cleverly that gold is building an intensity in the pip's beak. And the degree of fire, I suppose, is present here by the sun though it is obscured by some clouds. And we see an incredible amount of intensity through the reds and the light that is being emitted from those wands that are projecting their energy upwards. And do you know what this card reminds me of? And I'm going to go back to there's a black hole in the middle. There's a black hole in the middle. Wow. Yeah. Um, that is really that's a really good way to look at this, Dee. Wow. Thank you for that. When I'm looking at this card, I'm thinking of and Final Harry Potter, and they all go out. They're all outside, and I think this happens a couple times in the movies, and they all take their wands and they shoot the energy up towards the sky like it's the fire, the united the power, the unification of the power connects them all. And the power here of the fire becomes something greater. And I think about like the Trimurti and why and what fire does and how purification and transformation and enlightenment through fire is life altering. And there's something in this card about its intensity that feels so transformational, like personally powerful. Mm. I've got the 10 on the table, so let's just look at it. I have to say, there's a beautiful connection here with the Onasios in that now the flowers are cut, they will die, showing us the full cycle of these wands. Right? The very different energy with cut flowers as opposed to flowers that are living. Welcome, Perry. Thank you. This to me is the card of like, you know, when you put the last piece in the puzzle, like there's something so complete here. I mean, when I look at fire and I think this is great, great completion. This shows to me great work, great work, and fire is definitely connected to your path, to your great work, to what you stand for. And there's something quite extraordinary that you have built here. And yes, it's like, let's get the 9 and the 10 on the table. I love how the Marseille 9 consumes and transforms from red to blue. For me, from red hot heat to blue white heat. Okay. I really like, can I turn this one? You know, this is interesting. Because I've also been flipping Marseille decks up and down and deciding whether or not there is a different effect having them one way or the other, whether indeed they are reversible or not. And notice in the 9, there's no floral, but in the 10, the growth resumes. And in the center here, I've also read people like so here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 little things of red, and here there's 4. And I believe those 4 little bits of red take us back to the world card, to completion, to stability, to this place of change and the turn of the wheel. And in a card reading, yeah, 4 makes a cross. And in the, now what was I going to say? Oh, and in a reading. So when we are, there's something very clever about these bits that are in the middle. I forget what they're called. There's a name for them. But they can also, in the major arcana, they have ways to be reflected in 4 things. Well, I'm looking at this one. 4 things in another card. Yeah, it's really quite something. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you with that for today, and I'm going to pull out some different decks. Hi, Lady Anne, welcome. I'm going to pull out some different decks for next week, and we'll carry on with this conversation. And I think, yes, Laura, thank you for that reminder. I'll get out the Pagan Otherworlds, because that's a good one to look at in comparing and contrasting this. Okay, all right. Really appreciate all your input, and thank you so much. Take good care. Namaste.